What's up, everybody? TJ and Carrie here with Muscle Growth Mindset. Today we'd like to talk about the anti-aging diet, or lifestyle, really. It's more than just a diet. But, okay, anti-aging. I think it's important before we get into what to do for anti-aging. Maybe we can talk about what causes aging.
Okay.
So what causes us to age?
Well, so oxidation and inflammation are the number one causes of damage that when we age, it causes the bad parts of aging. Cell proliferation, which is cell growth, is the basic forward process of your body that causes all the aging.
Right, and I think it's important to know that you can't stop aging. You can't reverse aging. I wish we could. What we can do is slow down these processes. Right, so because oxidation, what are two things? I think this is going to surprise some people. Oxidation is bad, right? So what are two things that causes oxidation?
The two primary causes of oxidation in our day-to-day life is number one, breathing, and number two, eating food.
Okay, so you eat, you cause oxidation. You breathe, you cause oxidation. Obviously, we're not going to mess with breathing.
Right.
You kind of need that, and you need food. But there are food choices you can make that can kind of slow down that oxidation process or help with antioxidant.
Absolutely.
Antioxidant. Oxidants, antioxidizing, yes. I guess. So you guys have heard of antioxidants. We did video on polyphenols, which is antioxidants. Mm-hmm. So we'll get more into those. What else about aging? Are there other factors that can cause aging?
So the
main things we're talking about.
The whole cell proliferation process, we can't avoid, but in those processes are opportunities for oxidative damage, which if we reduce oxidative damage, we reduce a lot of the effects of the aging process, so a lot of the damaging and negative parts, because you can't stop it, but you can slow down the negatives. So if you want to live an optimal, long-term, healthy life, you want to be walking around and talking to people and thinking into your 90s, this is what we're talking about.
Right, and we want to make sure you know that we still have that muscle growth mindset. We want to build and maintain muscle. So the diet we're going to talk about, the lifestyle we're going to talk about is for longevity, anti-aging, as well as building muscle. So we'll get further into the specific diet in a minute, but there's three key factors that we know are going to cause aging or reduce aging. Mm-hmm. First one is what we just talked about, oxidation and inflammation. So what are ways we can decrease those so we can live longer?
So the number one way is to intake polyphenols into your diet, which we've had a video of polyphenols, so they're found in fruits, vegetables, virgin oils, coffee, green tea, those kind of things. There's some other supplements out there that reduce aging, but we're talking about a natural day-to-day diet. You can look into other supplements, but polyphenols are going to be your primary and easiest way to keep it in your diet in a day-to-day basis.
Right, so eating fruits and vegetables, that's a big way to decrease oxidation and inflammation. Any other factors there with oxidation that we need to worry about, or is that the big...
That's a big one. Things like glutamine, or you can take vitamin D. Now those both also help with your gut, which we'll talk about in a minute, but those are the primary ways.
Okay, so first factor, decrease oxidation and inflammation. Second factor is to increase growth hormone production. Mm-hmm. So growth hormone is...
So in a caloric deficit, growth hormone is very preservative to the body. Now you've got to understand that it's in a caloric deficit, which in a fasted state, you're normally going to have an increase in growth hormone, which preserves muscle tissue and preserves the body, does not increase cell proliferation, which is a growth process which leads to aging. Now, if you're supplementing exogenously, if you're putting human growth hormone into your body, you're actually causing cell proliferation and growth, which is not decreasing aging.
Okay, so it's good to increase HGH naturally.
Yep.
But not as beneficial for anti-aging to supplement with it, meaning to take pharmaceutical human growth hormone.
Correct.
Okay, so what are some ways we can increase our growth hormone production?
Well, staying in a fasted state is the number one easiest way. And I'm talking about, there's several different ways to do it, but the easiest long-term way is the 16-8 intermittent fasting, which is when you don't eat for 16 hours and your feeding window is an 8-hour window. Getting the right amount of sleep is also very important. Those are the primary easy ways.
High intensity exercise.
Yes.
That's a good way to naturally increase your growth hormone.
Now let me talk about exercise. As we know, exercise is an increase in cell proliferation, which we talked about as aging. But it's one of the few ways where it's very specific. It's only in the brain, the heart, and skeletal muscle tissue. Everything else, it decreases cell proliferation. So there's nothing bad about exercise. It's one of the few things that is purely on the good side of this process.
Right, so this is outside of the diet aspect, but this is part of the lifestyle aspect. It's really important that you do some sort of exercise.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to talk as far as specific to growth hormone production, and then it also goes along with fat loss, because growth hormone, it helps
Very
with fat
lipolytic.
loss. So, high intensity exercise is what we're talking about to increase growth hormone. Okay, there's been evidence of like high intensity cardio versus steady state cardio. The high intensity cardio is going to increase growth hormone and even testosterone production in the next 24 to 36 hours after doing it. So you go hard for 30 to 60 seconds, you rest 3-4 minutes. You go hard for 30 to 60 seconds, rest 3-4 minutes. Do 4, 5, 6 rounds of that. Versus doing 45 minutes, an hour of just walking, jogging, things like that. That actually can decrease your growth hormone production and testosterone production. It'll shut it down for up to 24 to 36 hours. So this is one thing where bodybuilders, they've done this steady state cardio for a long time. And when I first got into bodybuilding, that was the main way we did things. It was, low intensity, long duration cardio to burn fat. You want to stay in that fat burning zone, which, yes, you may burn more fat during that time, but with a high intensity and the increase of growth hormone production, you're going to burn fat for a longer period of time, and it's going to be more beneficial. And also, the steady state cardio has been shown to cause more oxidative stress than the high intensity. So you could say that steady state long-term cardio could age you more so than high intensity cardio. But that's getting off subject a little bit, not entirely. All right, so we talked about oxidation, inflammation, and we talked about increasing growth hormone. What's number 3? What's the other factor?
Number 3 is the microbiome. And I really cannot stress how important taking care of your gut health is. The bacteria that live inside your body is now considered an organ. There are more studies about the gut than anything else. Stanford has seminars that they record, they put on YouTube all the time. I just watched an 1.5-hour video the other day. They've got some great science coming out of there. But focusing on gut health, they found that centenarians, the 100-year-old or longer lived people, all have the most diverse gut microbiota. People they find in hospitals with cancer are all missing a certain kind of bacteria in their body. So they're finding the number one indicator to find diseases in inflammation in your body is by looking at your microbiome. So keeping it healthy, one of the easiest and simplest ways is to make sure you get plenty of fiber throughout the day. They recommend 50 grams. It's tough for a lot of people.
That's a lot of fiber.
That's a lot of fiber, but that's food for your gut. So fibrous carbs are what you cannot digest. Your bacteria in your body does, and they make things out of them to help your body. So keeping your microbiome healthy and well fed. There are ways to test it. I'm not going to get into all that right now. We're going to come up with another video to update our last microbiome video. There's ways to test it, there's ways to fix it, but paying attention, and the easiest, simplest way is to eat plenty of fiber.
Okay, that's microbiome, which is the good bacteria in your gut. So focusing on gut health. Okay, so now we've kind of talked about the 3 factors. So the way we would base our diet, we're talking about an anti-aging diet that also caters to maintaining building muscle.
Right.
So this is one thing Kerry's been doing for a little while he's been following this diet. It's basically it's intermittent fasting.
The 16-8 method, which means an 8-hour feeding window. All your food is eaten in that 8 hours.
Okay, so by doing this, you have 16 hours of fasting, which one is going to give your body a little break from digestion, which is good. Doesn't have to work as hard. It's going to increase growth hormone production because you're in a fasted state, right? Okay, so within that 8-hour window, what kind of foods are we eating, and what's that breakdown look like?
So I try to get 50 grams of fiber 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and for everyone, it's about 30 to 50 grams of fat. And don't worry so much about saturated, unsaturated fat. There's a lot of debate on that. What we really know is that trans fat is terrible for you. Avoid that at all costs. No deep fried foods, no sugar. Those things are terrible. That cause a lot of oxidative damage. High circulating lipids and a lot of sugar in your body is going to cause a lot of oxidative damage. And then the rest of your diet should be filled with low glycemic complex carbohydrates, usually with fiber.
Such as
Sweet potatoes, oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa. These are great. And for fats, I recommend avocado, number 1, because it's got polyphenols and fiber in there. It's great. Nut butters are awesome. Olive oil is high in polyphenols.
all right, so for the best bang for your buck, when you're talking about anti-aging foods, where you can get the high fiber, the polyphenols, we're talking lots of vegetables.
Yes.
You want to have a high veggie diet. Of course, you want your fibrous carbs. You need fiber from your sweet potatoes, your oats, things like that. But you really want to load up on vegetables.
Still need to put a lot of vegetables in
You're
there.
going to get a little bit of carbs from that, but it's going to be such a small value of carbs from vegetables, it's not really going to matter.
Remember, fibrous carbs are counted in the calories for a lot of things, but they're not really carbs for digestion, because you cannot eat them. Now, they are turned into calories in your gut by your gut microbiome, but they're turned into fats. So, healthy fats.
Healthy fats are good.
Yes.
So there's a couple of other options for dieting here. When I talk about vegetables and how important they are. So being vegan or vegetarian, as far as a longevity, anti-aging diet is a great diet. But our thing and our thought process here, I'll let you cover this. You were wanting to talk on this.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So some people may argue that this isn't the best anti-aging diet. There's 2 other diets that are really very, very good on anti-aging, and I can't argue with it: the vegetarian diet and the ketogenic diet. The problem with both of those is protein. So protein, eating the high amounts of protein kicks you out of ketogenesis, but not getting enough protein definitely doesn't go for muscle growth. Same thing with the problem with the vegetarian diet. Not enough of the right kinds of protein, so you don't get enough muscle growth. And I would argue ours is the best, because maintaining muscle mass into your late life is going to keep you moving around better. So I still think it's the number 1. But those 2 have a lot of good qualities for them.
Okay, you mentioned keto diet. Okay, we need to get really into this, but we're going to scratch the surface here. There's a keto diet, and then there's a pseudo keto diet.
Yeah.
There's people that think they're doing a keto diet, and low carbs or no carbs does not mean you're on a keto diet.
Yeah.
A true keto diet is low protein, low to no carbohydrates, and really high fat. Right.
90% fats in your diet and veggies.
Right. So talk to us about ketosis and about the keto diet and how it affects with aging.
Okay, so how ketosis works is when you're eating 90% fats and very little of carbohydrates, very little proteins, you get no insulin spikes. Your body eventually, its easiest sort of form of energy is glucose, and when it gets starved, it has to find another way. So after 3 weeks of doing this high-fat diet, or if you're in true starvation mode, if you're an obese person, they found an obese person. There was a guy that was in 350 days without food or more. He just took vitamins, but he was basically in ketosis. So being in this ketosis diet, you break down fats and turn them into ketones. Now you have to be in this ketosis process for 3 weeks for your body to start breaking them down into ketones. And ketones are a great form, efficient form of energy. And the positives of this, people worry about high cholesterol, and you don't get a lot of high cholesterol because those fats are broken down into ketones. They're not circulating in your body, so they're not causing all that oxidative stress that fats do, and you're not getting high cholesterol. However, you have to be in this process for 3 weeks.
That's to even get it started. You need to be in this process for a long time, but before you actually get into ketosis, it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks.
You're usually going to feel sick because your brain is going to be starved while your body is fine.
And once you get into this, then your body gets a lot more efficient, starts using these ketones. It's a great diet to be on.
Absolutely.
And it's great for anti-aging.
Oh, wonderful for it.
But the problem is people don't do it. They do this pseudo keto diet. So They do high protein, high fats, low to no carbs, and then they do these refeeds, and which is great for muscle building, right? You need high carb days or a cheat meal, things like this. The problem is I'm doing this keto diet, and I'm having a cheat meal every week. Well, every time I have that cheat meal, I'm now out of ketosis. So now you're getting the negative effects of the high fats. You're getting the negative effects because you're never in ketosis, so your body gets the oxidation. It gets all the negatives from the carbohydrates when you have them, the insulin spike. It gets the negatives from being on a high-fat diet for a long time because you're not breaking that down into ketones anymore. So
even if you're doing no proteins and you're following the true ketogenic structure, if every week you have a cheat meal, you're never in ketosis. So you're getting the benefits of high growth hormone, in a fasted state. Your body doesn't register fats as for insulin or growth hormone purposes. So your growth hormone keeps going up. You start burning body fat better. I get it. You're like, it works. I'm losing weight. But you're suffering high cholesterol, high oxidative damage.
So keto diets are great. Pseudo keto, not so much. Vegetarian, vegan diets, great for anti-aging, not ideal for building muscle. That's why we feel intermittent fasting is a good way to, by what you're eating, the good foods, you're going to increase your gut health, your good bacteria, your microbiome. You're going to increase your growth hormone production, and you're going to decrease oxidation inflammation, which are the 3 big points for anti-aging.
So lots of plants. The ketogenic diet, to be as effective as anti-aging, you got to have lots of plants. So what most of them do is slather olive oil and butter on vegetables and eat those a lot. But that's how you get the maximum effects. Lots of fiber from fruits and vegetables and starchy carbs. Lots of fiber from, or lots of polyphenols from fruits and vegetables and starchy carbs. And lots of growth hormones from staying in a fasted state all day long. Those are the points, those are the elements that you need to remember.
All right, so that's our idea for the most ideal muscle growth mindset anti-aging diet. So if you guys have questions, feedback, arguments, please shoot them our way, put them in the comments. We'd love to debate with you, or we'd love to answer your questions.
Right, and come back for our next video. We're going to have an update on the microbiome. And remember, rule number 1. See ya. Oh, God, I'm old.